Hey there, neighbor. It's been tricky to get the right light here. I just have this sunbeam coming in and one of the tent lines here. So today the kids and I drove to Grandfather Mountain and went to the Highland Games. And that was fun to kind of look at all the different tartans for the Scottish clans, surnames associated with our family. And didn't really find, there were several tents as well, for all the different clans. I didn't find the Coburns, Cockburns. They were not represented, so that was a bummer. But in a way, I was like, this is going to be weird if there's a tent and I sit down in it and start jiving with these Coburns. I mean, it would be cool. But I also feel like we do live in a pluralist society. And if I had a kilt, there'd probably be 4 or 5 different plaid tartans that would make up the kilt. And as fun as it is, and helpful really, to look back at history, that sort of clan mentality can become sort of a warring mentality. But at the same time, it can offer a sense of community, which I feel like is at the heart of the issue here, is having that extended family in relation to homemaking. So different things on my mind today besides that is just thinking about the different ways that we do family these days, how we handle finance, freedom, love, what have you. And the kids, they have a new baby brother or sister arriving at any moment. And their parents on that side, their dad and their stepmom, they both work full-time, which is a really different paradigm from when they were babies. I was really pretty much home full-time. And I was just sharing with them kind of the difficulty of that. I feel like there's a really huge value in being present. For children, children don't raise themselves. It really takes some tutelage and some hands-on work. And I'm not here to judge anybody. We're all just trying to figure out what to do here. And there's the kind of women's liberation movement, which is just going to sum up one piece of it in terms of we're awesome and we can do anything and that's great and we can get educated and get out into the workforce. But it's how do we handle the raising of the children? And so people are coming up with different ways to do this, but I think there's a lot of struggle no matter how you figure out to do it. What else do I have to say about that? I think one of my struggles when I was married, which I was for about 12 years, so I've kind of done a few different things. I had a 12-year marriage, and I've also been a single parent for 6 years. Both have their challenges. And I think one of the challenges in the marriage was in staying home, the value of that wasn't totally embraced, and there was always a pressure to make money to relieve probably some of the financial pressure that my husband at the time was feeling. But I felt pretty tapped on all the levels, keeping up with kids and the house and doing some part-time work too. It seemed pretty impossible to do all of that and then make a bunch of money as well. So I know there are other countries out there where there's longer maternity leaves, paternity leaves, things like that are healthcare situations. There's just a lot that fall on women in the home in terms of taking care of the children. I know there are some women out there who are pretty financially sustainable, have some wealth from a certain situation and can pretty much live a pretty decent life. That doesn't talk about romantic companionship so much, but not having a partner and really trying to be present for your kids and also have a job is super challenging because the money is a huge issue. It's if you don't have chunks of money, you're really limited in terms of the gas you spend, the car upkeep. If you had all the resources available to you, you could hire help, you can drive where you want, you can do what you want to do. There's just a lot of limitations. There can be a lot of financial limitations if you're just trying to make it and raise kids at the same time. The struggle is real. So anyway, I'm going to read a little bit from the book today. But I think it's helpful to talk about real life as well and share why I'm even doing this in the first place, because I feel like it's really important. There's a lot of stress around the nuclear family. So we were talking about the 4 levels, fourfold human being. Kind of did that, talked about spirituality and Lucifer and Ahriman, so I'm going to jump back into some of that information. Matter. Looks like we're going to talk about some food. Another huge thing. It's like if you're working full-time and you're doing all the things in the house and you're taking care of the kids and you're driving them and like you're supposed to create this like amazing, from scratch kind of situation. I mean, there's just ways in my life where I have to give on a lot of different levels, and I'm continually having to find new balances depending on what kind of time I have, what kind of resources. Okay, but anyway, matter. Let us go from Lucifer and Ahriman, from order and chaos, from elemental beings and angels, back to the physical body, to matter. The world of matter has a strong relationship. So this is kind of like that first level, the physical. We're still, I believe, on the fourfold human being, but now we're kind of going to the level below the etheric and the astral and the spiritual, the basic one. So the world of matter has a strong relationship to the will nature of the human being. Matter is divided by way of its relationship to the will. 3 kinds of matter dominate in the household: food, textiles, and the solid materials such as wood, glass, and stone. These materials have a particular relationship to people. Solid material has a relationship to knowledge, while textiles are related to the rhythmic element and the feelings. Interesting. First of all, the textiles. We differentiate between plant material, cotton, linen, and animal material, wool, silk. These 4 kinds of materials are related to 4 areas. Cotton has a relationship to the physical, linen to the etheric, wool to the soul, and silk to the ego. The handling of textiles can vary widely. One person prefers glass and chrome, another wood and cloth. Here, too, there is no right or wrong, only what is right for the individual. Foodstuffs have an inner order of their own as well. In anthroposophical nutrition, it is not only the healthiness of food that plays a role. Important also is the process surrounding the product, the growth process, the participation of humans and elemental beings. Until now, our attention has been given too much to matter as such. One of the great cultural achievements of mankind has been overlooked: the art of cooking. This art was developed in the monasteries of the Middle Ages. The art of cooking is the humanization of products. Preparing the food is an etheric process or life-giving process. The art of cooking has been neglected. The many anthroposophical cookbooks do not change this fact, for there is hardly a cookbook that mentions this etheric process. In the art of cooking, many secrets occur. It is a mysterious, etheric, alchemistic process. This artistic feeling in dealing with food, lies within the potential of every homemaker. So something came up while I was looking at this, and that was thinking about my great-grandmother, who was an incredible cook, very much homebound, didn't have any dreams beyond her family that I knew of. She was a huge caretaker of her children, her parents, grandparents. She had the housekeeping job. Her daughter had aspirations. She was born in the 20s, I believe, and she wanted to go to college. There was only money in the family to send her brother to college, so she was really bitter because she was very smart. I think she was like salutatorian, so like second in her class, just sharp as a tack. And she was not given the means to go to college. I believe she got into Smith College, and she was not able to go for financial reasons. And this was just a sore point for her entire life. She made pretty much a doctorate out of homemaking. She was an incredible homemaker. She made all her curtains. She was an amazing baker. She learned how to cook a lot of different types of cuisine. I mean, they had like a hibachi grill they'd bring out on the table, and she'd cook scallops. And, you know, she lived in Hong Kong for a while, so she learned a lot about that. You know, cooking Chinese food, and, you know, she'd learned a lot from her own mother. And she took on some sales work, selling encyclopedias. She, I believe, was a secretary for a while. But she was pretty ticked, and it was very important that, you know, they had 2 daughters. So my mom and her sister, they both definitely went to college. And so then my mom was the first generation to head out into the workforce in full force. I mean, she nursed her babies, but she ended up getting some help with nannies and whatnot, but it wasn't my mom's goal to be home. I mean, she still did cook. Somehow she did, like, all the things. She worked and she cooked and she still did some sewing, and my dad helped chip in with some of the housework. But she was trying to get away from that being stuck in the home thing, and I feel like I'm now the first generation in our crew to kind of look at, you know, what gets lost when you go to the workplace fully and you're focused on that and you're trying to do it all. And children are these human beings. They need, you know, support and attention. I don't think necessarily because my grandmother had been home with my mom and my aunt that she was necessarily like emotionally present and all these other things. I think she was very tied up in some of her own frustrations and overachievements and underachievements and whatever else. So those are just some things that came up that I wanted to share related to my own generational processes. And this idea of like doing it all, it's like now I'm trying to reinvent the doing of it all in different ways without a partner at this point. Okay, belonging to life in the home. This one's getting pretty long, so I guess I should stop here. The next segment is going to be about living in the home, and I'm always happy to hear your comments and kind of what you've seen in your family life in terms of being educated as a woman, being present for your children, emotional development and emotional health and things like that. It's also fascinating. I mean, I was like serious cook, serious housekeeper for a long time when I had my littles. And at this point right now, I don't have time to like make everything from scratch. It's just not possible. But I've also given my house away. It seems like, you know, I have this gift and it's actually quite saleable. People love to buy the opportunity to stay in my home. It's really beautiful. It has nice light. I put a lot of love and effort into it. But ultimately, I don't have a kitchen, which is sort of a freedom in a way. But not having a kitchen can be very expensive and unhealthy. So that's all I got to say today. Thank you for tuning in again, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.